Hey guys, Zane here with another one-take review, and today I want to talk about the new Ibeyi album, Spell 31. Spell 31 is the latest album from French-Cuban musical sibling duo Ibeyi, who have been mostly radio silent over the course of the past 5 years since their 2017 sophomore album, Ash, and it's finally time for them to inject their trip-hop, kind of trippy R&B style into the music scene once again. While Lisa Cayende and Naomi Diaz do some excellent work on their latest effort, it is one that will most likely surprise at least some pre-established fans of the band's first two albums. First of all, Spell 31 is significantly less artsy than their previous two albums, their 2015 self-titled debut album, as well as 2017's Ash. I mean, not all creative energy is lost here. There's still a lot of art pop related compositions, as well as some trip hop-esque influences, more than enough of those to go around the relatively short album. But at the same time, I do feel like there's something a bit more slick and noticeably more commercially applicable here that definitely does give it a unique feel to Spell 31 that's different from their prior two albums. While I would never call Ibeyi risk-takers even in their most experimental moments, this is them dialing it back even further than they have ever before, and while this would probably spell catastrophe for a lot of artists, even artists in a similar realm of music, of experimental alternative R&B, Ibeyi really make it work. In fact, I would go as far as to say that if the Diaz siblings prove anything on Spell 31, it's the fact that they're capable of varying in levels of experimentation while still maintaining that same high bar that they've set on their previous two albums in terms of consistency and quality. This could be most easily attributed to the undeniable chemistry between Lisa Cayende and her sister Naomi. Well, while there is probably some sort of immediate artistic chemistry between two siblings involved in a same project, a sort of immediate magnetism between the two, the most important aspect about Ibeyi as a project is the immediate connection between the sisters here, as well as their awareness of themselves as individuals, as well as each other. Lisa Cayende is a fantastic vocalist with an excellent smoothness to her voice that ensures that everything that she does is utterly fantastic here, but she never belts out her vocals unnecessarily in a dramatic fashion. That being said, her sister Naomi Diaz doesn't once take this opportunity to scream out her place as a percussionist and as a backing vocalist by shoving her sister out of the spotlight. It is in this way that the siblings behind the Ibeyi name really just work together in perfect harmony rather than attempt to struggle with one another to become the face of the sound of the project. Instrumentally, Spell 31 is solid as well, with both of the Diaz sisters being very proficient within their own realms of key playing as well as percussion. With their latest album being, again, noticeably less artsy than their first two, they are obviously more conservative in terms of actual composition, but at the same time, the Diaz sisters play as flawlessly as they ever have before here. Every perfectly placed key press, hi-hat tap, or atmosphere keyboard creates this swirling tornado of casualness and relaxation that has an undeniable likability about it, and just a general chillness. Look, when you listen to Spell 31, you won't hear soaring instrumentals that melt your mind and send you into another ethereal plane of music listening or anything like that, but Ibeyi are a duo that are masters of subtlety and of atmospherics, and they use that to their advantage majorly on this record. The only thing that stops Spell 31 from being a truly striking example of alternative R&B music is just the simple fact that it doesn't go on for long enough. For the record, the individual songs that are found on this album are easy to pick off from the record and enjoy both casually or from an analytics standpoint as well. That being said, Spell 31 doesn't have a lot of leaves on its tree, it doesn't have a lot of meat on its bone, it doesn't have a lot of songs on its album. There are a handful of excellent concepts on Ibeyi's work here that are generally executed pretty flawlessly, but then the album just kind of ends. It feels like just as things are starting to pick up, things wrap up, and while you could maybe say that the track Rise Above is an epic climax and a very poignant piece of music that acts as a just fantastic ending to the record, which it is a great song, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing that leads up to it. It just feels like a very powerful, moving song with nothing else to really back it up in terms of actual emotion. Again, I'm not saying the rest of the album isn't great. It's a fantastic listen that I highly recommend, but there's just nothing really here that makes it any different from just listening to each song individually on a Spotify This Is playlist. But unfortunately, that is what makes Spell 31 as a listening experience feel like half the record that it's meant to be. What's being presented here by the Diaz sisters is honestly great. It truly is fantastic stuff. It's just the fact that there isn't more of their artsy, art pop, R&B kind of sound that prevents Spell 31 from being a truly immersive and fantastic listening experience. In conclusion, Spell 31 as an album is an excellent example of laid-back R&B masterwork that is just as powerful as it is casually listenable. While the more experimental and arguably more minimalistic sounds of albums like Ash have now been molded into a more mainstream, and I say that with major quotations, kind of sound here, I still do think that Spell 31 continues to prove that Ibeyi are one of the most exciting and consistently interesting projects in R&B music right now, which is why I'm going to give Spell 31 4 stars out of 5. If it were longer, I would happily give this album 4.5 stars out of 5. What's here is great, it's just the fact that it doesn't develop into more than what it is. And honestly, you're just kind of better off listening to each song individually than listening to the whole album from front to back, because I mean, really, there's not much here to be gained by listening to the album from front to back, and it's a shame that it's like that, but there's just no real sense of progression here, and it feels more like a handful of songs just kind of slapped together than a actual proper album in the sense of the actual term album. But nonetheless, this is still a 4-star out of 5 album, and with that being said, that's the end of this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one.